Hey, I'm Rob Adler, and welcome to Understanding Upstate, the podcast dedicated to exploring what makes Upstate New York such a unique place. Each week, my co-host Jim Search and I dive into a new Upstate topic to better understand what's up Upstate. And this week, we are checking out the jazz fusion scene of Western New York, which we'll get into how we discovered this was a thing in a little bit. I was surprised to stumble upon this topic, but I am now delighted.
I would say that when you think of Western New York, you do not think of jazz fusion. But as we are about to see, there is a history in said musical genre. Who knew?
Yeah, and it makes sense. It adds up for sure. I did not. I certainly did not. But you know what I do know, Jim? I know that anyone listening, a Speedy Freak, a Rattlesnake Pete, or a would-be Speedy Freak should rate, review, and subscribe to the show.
That's how you become one.
That's true. You got to make it official. Yep. You got to hit that button. And if you want us to cover a particular thing in upstate New York that you love or like or are just curious about, after you give us a 5-star rating, write some positive words and a nice review for us, particularly on Apple Podcasts. I don't think Spotify allows you to write reviews, but if you're on Apple Podcasts, throw some nice words our way and also toss in a recommendation for, I don't know, maybe your favorite canal system in upstate New York, and we might talk about it. We'll see.
That, though. We're only taking requests about canal systems in upstate New York.
It's true. There are many. Jim, we've got a lot to talk about today. Should we just get into it?
Oh yeah.
All right. So, as I mentioned just a moment ago, kind of really stumbled upon this topic. I'm a bit of a record collector. I was at one of our local record stores here in Brooklyn, digging through the crates, as it were. And usually I'm going for a lot of instrumental jazz albums, usually on the funkier side. And based off the cover, you can generally kind of tell what might be funky or not funky. And I came across this album. I flipped it over and started reading who was on it and the liner notes. And the first sentence I encounter on the back of the album was, "Why would a band from Western New York name itself after a beach resort in Brazil?" And Jim, I've never been more intrigued by anything so quickly.
Two very polar opposite places as far as climate, attitude, general existence. Two very, very different places. I can say that.
And the name of the name of this group is Cabo Frio, and I'll just read the rest of this first paragraph from their album "Right on the Money," which we'll talk about more about. It reads, "Because geography is only relative to establishing a state of mind. One listen to this album will tell you the Cabo Frio state of mind is free-spirited, rhythmic, and joyfully melodic. It's also hot, breezy, and inviting. Courtesy of 5 talented guys who blend jazz, funk, Latin, rock, and pop elements so seamlessly together that you forget all those hyphens usually reserved to describe fusion. Cabo Frio's current lineup gelled 4 years ago in Rochester, New York. Its rich textures were honed in clubs and concerts in the competitive upstate New York music market. The area has more jazz-oriented artists than Texas has blues guitarists, having launched the careers of such artists as Spyro Gyra, Chuck Mangione, Steve Gadd, Jeff Tyzik, and Tony Levin. There's about, 8 more paragraphs in the tiniest font you've ever seen. I will not be reading those. But that does actually kind of introduce some of the other players we're going to be talking about today, mainly Spyro Gyra and Chuck Mangione. Again, there was a big jazz fusion scene in upstate / Western New York based around Rochester and Buffalo in the 80s, which again, who knew?
I didn't.
Me neither. Me neither. So, Jim, I know
Yes.
all of our Speedy Freaks and Rattlesnake Pete's are dying to know exactly what is jazz fusion.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell them.
Yeah, and after you do, I'm going to give a fun little anecdote about
Yes, please.
what is jazz fusion. Go on.
Yes, please. And because it's a lot of different things depending on kind of what decade you're talking about. So we're going to it's the full history of it up until the 80s, right? So it was developed in the late 60s when musicians combined jazz harmony and improvisation with rock music, funk, and R&B. Electric guitars, amps, and keyboards that were popular in rock and roll. Keyboards being like synthesizers, right? Which up until the 60s, jazz was just piano, right? If you're playing a keyboarded instrument.
Right.
Or vibes, which are kind of laid out in a similar way, but it's a percussion instrument. We're getting too deep in the weeds. Let's move on. Again, incorporating rock and roll instruments essentially into the sound. So then basically you have in the 60s, you have artists who are kind of starting to experiment with incorporating rock elements and ideas into their jazz music. Most prominently, Miles Davis put out an album called In a Silent Way. It just has 2 tracks. Each are like almost 20 minutes, an A-side and a B-side.
Wow.
It's great. It's kind of, it's good. But Miles Davis kind of is a good benchmark for trends in jazz. He's released a lot of different albums that kind of signaled a change in jazz styles, and this is one of them. But yeah, in a Silent Way came out in 1969. It's kind of experimental, a little bit avant-garde, but it also it's a fucking groove. Like it's really good. And that same year he recorded Bitches Brew, which would come out in 1970. It's even funkier, hits a little bit harder. And that ushers in kind of a new era of jazz fusion. It's super funky. You have a lot of solo artists. I'm going to name off a ton right now. Herbie Hancock, George Benson, Eric Gale, Freddie Hubbard, Ron Carter, who actually went to Eastman School of Music, which is in upstate New York, which we'll talk about. Grover Washington Jr., Stanley Turrentine, Donald Byrd. These are all New York-based musicians at that point. A lot of them are studio and gigging musicians. They tour with each other. They play on each other's albums. They'll basically get together at a studio one day, bang out an album. It gets released. They do that in a couple weeks. These are kind of like one-off albums. They're not necessarily like a group, right? They're just dudes that know each other,
right,
for the most part. And at that point, like jazz fusion is, a lot of these guys have been gigging, working jazz musicians since the 50s or 60s. Fusion, again, it's a lot more funky at this point. It's just kind of a trend, and they're running with it. They're putting these albums out. A lot of these albums would go on to be sampled in classic hip-hop tracks and create kind of a base for a lot of hip-hop samples, particularly in the 90s. And most of it is pretty funky. Bob James, who's an outlier, his stuff is a little more vanilla. It's a little smoother.
Sure.
He did like the theme for Taxi, and I think Welcome Back, Kotter too, as well. Maybe he's got a few TV themes to his credits. And again, so it's a lot more individual musicians. There's a couple groups, namely Weather Report and Return to Forever. And then we finally kind of get to the 80s. Another key fact, too, is that a lot of those dudes in the 70s, they all played with Miles Davis at one point or another. So it's, again, kind of... he really kind of helped fusion land on the map.
Right.
We get to the 80s, which is what now kind of we're chiefly concerned with, particularly in Western New York. There's a number of groups that are basically created for fusion jazz. And remember, in the 70s, it's guys are just like, this is fun, let's do this for a few albums, then they move on. These are like fusion heads, right? This is what they want to do. And things start off still kind of funky. If you listen to early fusion albums from the early 80s, or rather if you listen to fusion albums from the early 80s, still kind of funky, but it gets smoother and smoother and mellower, and it really kind of morphs into smooth jazz. So if you say fusion jazz to different people, it will mean different things. Some people it means smooth jazz, which I think at the time when these albums were coming out, that really wasn't a term yet. But again, it just kept getting more and more commercial sounding. It sounds more produced. Again, it sounds a lot like Bob James's work in the 70s. And I do want to say that it's not to say that this stuff, that these musicians aren't good, right? A lot of people,
right,
a lot of thoughts about smooth jazz. This stuff is still very technical. It's hyper lyrical, and often something that sounds easy, it's usually a lot more difficult to make it sound good and to maintain that. So these guys are like some of the best musicians. They're just choosing to play this really mellow, smooth music, mainly because it made a lot of money, I think. Like, this was wildly popular at the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, and to that point, when I was doing the research for this jazz fusion episode, I threw on some of the artists we were listening to, or that we're going to be talking about, and immediately I'm like, wait, this is hold music. This is music you listen to when you are waiting to speak to a customer service representative. And so much so that when my girlfriend walked in the door, she said, maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, she goes, "Are you on hold right now?" And I said, yeah, I'm not, but I could see why you might say that, because it is very smooth. This is relaxing stuff. Like, when you listen to this, you could most assuredly fall asleep to it. But to your point, like, these dudes made a shit ton of money. Right?
I didn't like a lot of these artists. The discographies are so deep. They put out so many albums of this stuff. And again, like, I was listening to some more today. There's a couple, I got more on the earlier stuff. Once you get closer, like 89, it's just like, not for me. Definitely not for me. But there's a couple tracks off of like Cabo Frio's 1983 album where it's like, oh, they're like, this shit's, there's some good tracks on here.
This is moving.
Some good shit. Yeah, absolutely. I think I was reading Chuck Mangione's like artist bio on Spotify, who we'll get to in a little bit. I want to say they called it like melodic pop, which I think is like a good description. It's still jazz, but like it is maybe more pop in some areas than jazz, depending. It's tricky. It's kind of tricky to pin down, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the history of jazz fusion to help set the table. But we got to also look at the history of jazz in Western New York as well with Jim. I think you're going to help us out.
Yes.
Here.
To that point, it would be remiss of us not to speak about jazz influences in Western New York if we're talking about jazz fusion, because half of this, it all started from here. And this is a pretty interesting story about how this all came to be. And you could see how this plays into kind of the band compositions that you'll see in Western New York.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump back in time. We're going way back to like 1917 area. Where we're talking about the Colored Musicians Club in Buffalo. The Musicians Local 533 was formed in 1917 when African Americans could not join the white union. Surprise. The following year, members formed a social club chartered in 1935. Any black musicians who wanted to perform in the area had to pay a fee to the union, to the office on the first floor. The Local 533 was the most fiscally responsible, socially progressive black union in the country, which is pretty impressive. Union President Raymond Jackson's stellar managerial skills took him across America as a consultant for other black musician unions. Now, the club was incorporated in 1935, utilizing the second floor for performances, practices, and rehearsals. World-renowned musicians, some of these folks, you might have heard of like a Billie Holiday, like a Dizzy Gillespie, people like that. Maybe even like a Count Basie. They were in this club. Now, at this place, color was not the issue. Jazz was. They were about the music, and they wanted to play, and they found a space and a venue to allow them to do so. In 1969, after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the Local 533 was ordered to merge with the White Union. And this is where it all backfires. Because the newly integrated union favored its white members. Fortunately, the Colored Musicians Club was separate from the Local 533, so it offered black artists performance opportunities. It became a place for musicians of all colors to gather after gigs to jam. And you're going to see this, you file this one for later, because you're going to, again, see this play out in the composition of these bands. So it was here where hope triumphed over hate, inclusivity and diversity reigned. The CMC brought people from all races together and inspired a new generation of musicians. If these walls could talk, the Colored Musicians Club would speak to the power of jazz to bring all races together. It is continuously running all black-owned music venue in the United States.
That's wild.
Isn't that
That's
wild?
Awesome.
That's fucking dope, man.
Hell yeah.
And, like I was saying before, like when you look at like Spyro Gyra and like all these other bands, they are all black and white people. I was looking at the covers of like the band pictures and shit, and I'm like, wow, this is before I read about the Colored Musicians Club. I was like, these are very multi-culti bands. I was very surprised at this. But like I was saying before, it would be putting two and two together to see that there was this level of diversity that was happening in Western New York that lent itself to this bubble of seeing these folks like that. So the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester is one of the top music conservatories in the world, which we talked about in our Kodak episode. Who, in fact, donated money to create the school, has helped to build and sustain a jazz scene in and around Rochester. And as we'll see, a few of the artists that we'll talk about today attended Eastman. How about that?
I also throw into, Philadelphia is not that far away. Bunch of recording studios there. A lot of these albums were recorded or mastered down there. There's a big jazz scene there as well. Also proximity to New York City. So it's kind of this really... There's also a ton of jazz festivals. Jazz festivals, huge in the Midwest for one, too. But there's a bunch of regional jazz festivals like throughout the summers. And just, a lot of different little jazz clubs and stuff. So a pretty, it's a spread out market, I think, but a pretty huge market. Like you could very easily do just a tour throughout Western New York, just hitting different little, all the different cities and towns and clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of, a cool area for a scene to kind of pop off, and as we will see.
And it also, and as we are talking about it, but I feel like this is one of the unspoken and lesser known areas, right? Because like you can talk about Philly and you talk about New York City, people are going to know, but I don't think until they listen to this episode, know that Western New York had their contributions to the jazz scene.
This was difficult to research too. Like I started typing in like Western New York fusion jazz scene, nothing. Had to go to, try and like just look up fusion jazz, nothing specifically about upstate or Western New York. So this is kind of why we're focusing on the artists, because that's the easiest way to kind of chart this, because there's not really a detailed history. And dare I say it, Jim, we're about to put out the most comprehensive review of the upstate New York fusion jazz scene.
and it also, I think through the research of the band is how you develop what the scene looked like, right? And how we can paint the picture of that. And with that said, let's talk about Spyro Gyra, which is one of the bands to come out of Western New York. Spyro Gyra is a jazz fusion band formed in Buffalo in 1974. The band's music combines jazz, R&B, funk, and pop music. Jazz fusion. The band's name comes from Spyro Gyra, a genus of green algae that founder Jay Beckenstein had learned about in college. Sounds good, man. Let's do it.
Why not?
You know what? Fuck it, dude. I'm with it. So saxophonist Jay Beckenstein and keyboardist Jeremy Wall formed a band with jazz and rock musicians playing in the Buffalo bar and club circuit. In 1974, when a bar owner asked for the band's name, Beckenstein said Spyro Gyra, all one word, a type of algae he had learned about in school. I'd be very curious as to why that, right? Like what?
Yeah, sure.
What does that give me some more, Jay? I want to know a little bit more. The bar owner wrote the name incorrectly, Spyro space Gyra, but it stuck. So, the founding members were Beckenstein, Wall, bassist Jim Kurzendorfer, drummer Tom Walsh, and keyboardist Tom Schumann. In 1977, they released Spyro Gyra independently before making a deal at Amherst Records, which re-released...
Love an independent act.
Yeah.
Oh,
go. Huge. And Amherst is a neighborhood in Buffalo, which re-released the album with a different cover, included Shaker Song, which reached number 90 on the Billboard Hot 100, 99 on the pop chart in Canada, and number 26 on the Canadian AC chart.
Man, it just barely... Can you imagine getting number 99 on a pop chart? Like, we just made it. I would still be so fucking ecstatic.
Yeah, listen, when you just say I'm on the top 100, you don't have to say where.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, that's
I'm
true.
there, but
That's true.
I'm not... we don't need to talk about where I am on the 100, but just know I'm there, right? Yep. In 2020, with the band forced to stop touring due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the band uploaded a video to YouTube on June 23rd, 2020, featuring a medley of early hits, Shaker Song, Catching the Sun, and Morning Dance, synchronized from recordings of each band member at home. In 2021, the group resumed touring. On December 19th, 2022, the band announced on Facebook, of course they did, that Tom Schumann planned to move to Europe and would play his final shows with the band in February 2023. Now, a few days later, December 28th, 2022, the band announced that Chris Fisher would be the new keyboardist starting effective March 2023. In 2024, Spyro Gyra toured in celebration of their 50-year anniversary.
I believe they were just in Denver. I was texting my dad because he himself is actually a professional trumpet player, just for his thoughts on Chuck Mangione, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
Sure.
Like, yeah, Spyro Gyra, they were just here. And he's like, I don't think it's any of the original members, which is kind of with a lot of these groups. A lot of the lineups have changed. We'll talk about that and a little more about that in a little bit. But it's, kind of a revolving door with some of these groups of musicians, which isn't like super irregular for jazz groups, but
right.
They're more bands, right? So it is a little bit weirder. It's like still billed as the same band.
Right. And it's interesting because it's like you look at like different genres of music that like this is kind of unheard of. Like to have like a complete turnover of a group. That'd be like if like the Wu-Tang Clan just like cycled in a bunch of new rappers, and today there were none of the original members, but yet they were the Wu-Tang Clan. Like it would just not make any sense whatsoever. But as I digress, Spyro Gyra has had a couple of Grammy nominations: Best Jazz Fusion Performance for Catching the Sun, Incognito, City Kids, Access All Areas, and Alternating Currents, and Best Pop Instrumental Performance for Shakedown and Simple Pleasures. Best Pop Instrumental Album for Wrapped in a Dream, Good to Go, great name, A Night Before Christmas, Down the Wire, and Best R&B Instrumental Performance for Stripes. And awards they've won: the George Benson Lifetime Achievement Award and the Canadian Smooth Jazz Awards in 2007, which I'm imagining is probably the most chill vibe you'll ever have. It's a chill place. Everyone is smooth as fuck. And it's just like, hey, you know what, man? In Canada, one of the most polite places on the planet. That is a very, very chill vibe. Now listen,
There you go.
I have given you the dive of Spyro Gyra, but we're going to take a trip to Cabo Frio. See what I did there?
Speaking of chill, right? Frio, cold, right, in Spanish? Yeah, pretty good.
That's right.
All right, so Cabo Frio, again, Rochester's own. We've got, I think, original members: Curtis Kendrick, Judah Seeley, Mark Russell, Ronnie Hayward, and Gene Niergiz. And they began recording in 1982, but they had been together for a little bit prior to that, as we'll see. They released their first album, which is a self-titled album, and at that time, they were at the forefront of fusion, which, if you look at readings from the time, they don't call it jazz fusion, they just call it fusion. It's kind of like at this past Olympics, they were very careful to make sure no one said break dancing. It's called breaking. It's not break dancing, it's breaking. I can't tell you how many times I heard that on the coverage. Like, don't say breakdancing.
Interesting.
They don't use that term. It's breaking. So, and I kind of feel like this is a similar thing. Like, don't call it jazz fusion. It's just fusion.
And they can tell the fusion heads versus the non, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
exactly.
you're not about that life. You're not about that fusion life.
No. So Cabo Frio has strived to reflect cultural diversity in its music. They're influenced by cultures around the world. Its members meld their backgrounds and individual sounds to create music that is as diverse as its audience. Their drummer said, "We want to touch a broad spectrum of tastes with our music." And I kind of charted their rise and fall through reviews. I was able to pull a lot of reviews and kind of come up with a nice history for the album just through that. So this first article or review is from The Spirit, which was the Niagara County Community College newspaper. This is from September 17th, 1979. Again, 3 years before they pressed their first album. This is by Fat J. Bouchang. Cabo Frio, a Rochester-based jazz band, gave a college hour performance Thursday, September 6th in the NCCC cafeteria. Humble beginnings.
Love it.
Cafeteria concert. Comprised of...
I've been, listen, I went to Niagara University, man. I know NCCC very well, man.
Hell yeah. Were you ever in the cafeteria?
Just for this concert. I'm just kidding. I wasn't alive. I was negative 2 years old.
At the time, the group was comprised of, I don't think anyone I just read at the start, maybe one person. Todd Vulo, left-handed, Glenn Carl on guitars, Cummings Richardson on keyboards, Curtis Kendricks on drums, which I think is the only guy that held over, Jeff Smith on bass, and Terrence Bruce on tenor and soprano saxophone and flute. Cabo Frio is a very tight professional group. I was surprised to learn that they've only been together for 6 months. Let's see. I was even surprised that Terrence Bruce has been only with them for only a month. Them being like jazz musicians, though, I'm not that surprised by that. Like that's actually kind of a long time. All formerly trained musicians with a wide variety of professional experiences. They met at Rochester's Jinx and Jones, which I tried to figure out what the hell that was. Couldn't. I suppose it's probably a jazz club.
Yeah.
And they frequently opened for Buffalo's Spyro Gyra. So at this point, they're already associated with Spyro Gyra, have been opening for them. Also opened, I'm going to cut that because the name didn't copy correctly. Their music is high energy, danceable jazz with covers of Ramsey Lewis, Pat Metheny, George Benson, The Crusaders, Herbie Mann, and Wes Montgomery. They compose about 1/3 of the material, which we'll see is a change. And all those artists I just mentioned, a lot of them, like Ramsey Lewis, George Benson, sort of Herbie Mann, and some of Wes Montgomery's stuff, again, is a lot funkier than what fusion ends up being in the 80s, particularly under Cabo Frio. And this is going to be a thread we hear. So they're playing pretty funky stuff earlier on. Herbie Mann is a little bit more mellow. Wes Montgomery, he has like a lot of, he's got like a famous Beatles cover album that he did, which is, again, like sampled in a lot of hip hop. But he's more of just kind of like a straight jazz versus like fusion funk kind of guy. So again, they're like bringing kind of a good mix already to their sets. I assume the stuff they're composing is maybe a little bit more poppy
right
at this point. All right, so the next article, this is 1980 from the Onondaga Community College student newspaper. Again, they're just hitting the like local university circuits, which is not a bad thing to do, right? Like there's good money to be had doing those kinds of circuits.
Oh, for sure.
For any kind of performer, like those are good, reliable gigs if you can get them. And this is from December 1980 by Ann Savinsky. Cabo Frio, a local jazz band from Rochester, ripened the spirits of a sparse audience with a sophisticated performance last Tuesday afternoon at the Thanksgiving Mixer. It was a Thanksgiving Mixer. No one's on campus.
I was going to say.
So that's why it was sparse.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Only reason.
Yes. With Terrence Bruce on sax, Jeff Smith on bass, Curtis Kendricks on drums, and Carl Richardson on keyboards, the band dynamically performed some of their originals, such as Sweet Sunshine by Jeff Smith and Van Buren Babes by Terrence Bruce. I don't know what a Van Buren Babe is.
I don't know if I want to find out. I'm gonna keep it 100 here.
No. Other songs Cabo Frio included were Breezin', which is a George Benson tune, Affirmation, and Valdez in the Country. Oh, all by George Benson. Again, like funkier hits. Santa Cruzin' and Mr. Magic by Grover Washington Jr. Again, funky shit, as well as many other tunes familiar to jazz fans. Although the guitarist, Glenn Cummings, was unable to play at the Mixer due to illness, Cabo Frio still maintained a sensationally well-balanced show. Let's see. Let's jump down now. So again, they're building a reputation, right? So this comes from Hill News, which was another upstate newspaper.
I was going to say, where do you know? Did it say where it was? Upstate?
I think I failed to copy it over.
It's all right.
My bad.
That's all right.
But it is from March 1st, 1984. By Jim Shine.
I went to school with someone named Jim Shine, but it's not the same.
Shit.
He would have. This would have made Jim Shine like 2. I think he's a year younger than me, so it'd have been 2.
Sure.
Not the same Jim Shine.
Jim Shine Jr. maybe. Jim Shine Jr.
Could be.
All right. So, in Jim Shine Sr.'s words, jazz fusion music has a new future, and its name is Cabo Frio.
That's a strong sentence to lead with.
Yeah.
Strong.
The five-piece jazz ensemble took the UC Auditorium by storm last Saturday night with their funky blend of jazz, R&B, soul, and rock. Cabo Frio treated the enthusiastic crowd of 200. That is not a dwindling Thanksgiving crowd.
No.
A crowd of 200 to 2 sets of high-energy, eminently danceable music. Whenever the band started to jam, not one foot could resist tapping to the beat of their jazz fusion sound. The intimate setting also added a unique interaction between the band and the audience. This magical link between the stage and the crowd is what made the concert a success. Terrence Bruce was one reason for this success. The big, and I do mean big, lead man on soprano. That was unnecessary. On soprano,
all right, man.
baritone sax. Yeah, what the fuck? Don't editorialize the size of a man. Jesus Christ. let's see, and baritone sax displayed an unrivaled stage presence, hamming it up with the audience as well as urging on his band members throughout their solos. Terrence showcased his power and techniques in the first set as he walked off the stage into the crowd, out of the auditorium, back into the auditorium, and back on the stage while sustaining a single note on his clarinet.
Yo,
one note.
What a flex, man!
Yeah, dude. That's called circular breathing. Do you know how it's achieved, Jim?
I have no idea.
So as you're like breathing in and out, you'll hold some air in your cheeks. And when you have to take a new breath, you let the air out of your cheek while you breathe in through your nose. So you can sustain a note for like 5 hours if you want using this technique. It's a little bit of a gimmick, but it's also fun. I've never heard of anyone leaving the room and coming back and doing like that's the best stagecraft I've ever heard for circular breathing. Usually it's like I'll hold a note for 30 seconds at the climax of a solo or something. This is fucking wild.
Listen, Jim Shine can fucking write, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
He's a writer. I like his style.
It's good. I feel like I'm there.
I feel like I'm there too.
Like I'm there.
Yeah.
All right. Later in the second set, Mr. Bruce came into the audience while playing 2 saxophones at once, with the guitarist on his shoulders, playing the tambourine. The audience was impressed. We played hard.
They better be. They better be fucking
dude.
Impressed.
2 saxophones with the guitarist on your shoulders? Fucking wild. I mean, he is a big man if he can carry around the guitarist and play 2 instruments at once. Oh, man. Not only do they play excellent music, nearly all original tunes. All right, so by 84, they've switched it up, so it's mostly all their music. They also know how to put on a show. Yeah, I'll say, Jesus. If anything, the group demonstrated that there is still vitality in jazz fusion music, a genre which has gone stale in the past few years. The recent offerings of fusion supergroups, such as Spyro Gyra, have shown fusion to be in a rut. Savage takedown of Spyro Gyra.
Jeez.
It has become a formula music wherein one starts by stating the melody, takes turns on it with bombastic solos that end as they begun. Cabo Frio has stayed away from these trappings. The solos take chances and the interplay between the members' solos and new ideas to the songs. Cabo Frio relies not on the repetitive rhythms of rock, but rather on the flow of funk.
Which is a good thing to rely on, by the way.
It is. Now, Jim, I don't know if you've seen this in the notes yet, but I think I stumbled upon something historically significant on this album.
Okay.
And I'm going to request some help from you.
Sure. What can I do?
Well, so this is that album, Right on the Money, that I read from the back from at the start of the episode. I believe this is 1986. Yes, 1986. Again, from Rochester. And there, in fact, is a song with some rapping on it on this. And the first rap is terrible. It's by Terrence Bruce. But he also brought in an MC. He taught at a high school in Rochester, I believe. And he brought in an MC to rap on it. And I think this might be, if not the earliest, one of the earliest recordings of upstate rap or rapping ever recorded. Can you think of anything from upstate New York as early as 86?
As early
I'm not saying it's good.
Right. No,
I'm not saying it's good.
No. I mean, if I feel like the earliest other than this, like on record,
yeah,
I mean Chi Ali, maybe like the 90s. He's from Buffalo.
Okay.
But like, yeah, outside of that, there might have been recordings of people rapping but not like on record, right? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, this is it.
This is fucking wild. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll read the first verse because it's fucking terrible, and it's by Terrence Bruce. And then what I would love for you to do is read verse 2 in the same way that you might do it at a one Trivmatic hip hop trivia, which you famously run at Beer Wax.
Sure. Yeah.
Which you will read it kind of out of rhythm, and just again, it's the. You can probably explain it better than I can. I'm stumbling here.
Yeah, I will give this to you in almost, dare I say, a spoken word kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
There will not be a cadence when I read these lines.
Indeed. So, again, this is from the album Right on the Money. The name of the track is Working Out, and you might think that's a clever euphemism for something, and you would be wrong. It is a song about working out. but again,
I really want to hear this. I want to hear this.
Yeah. Oh, I'll send you the YouTube link. I will, in fact, put the link to this in the description for the episode. 100%. A lot of these albums are not. A lot of these albums are not streaming. They're not on Spotify. They're not on iTunes. Some of their later albums are, but someone uploaded this to YouTube, I think like 10 years ago, just this track, and I'm so glad because it made transcribing it a lot easier. Okay, so this is the first verse. Again, this is from Terrence Bruce doing some bullshit. And now, this is, to be clear, not the first recorded rap. The other one is from this actual MC that he pulled from a high school class. But here we go. Working out is a thing to do today. Something that all kids should learn to play. Feel those biceps, build those triceps, throw those weights around. And don't forget the mental part. Now we're ready to hit the town.
Oof.
Yes. So verse 2, this MC, his name is Craig Kettles, which again, I think Terrence Bruce either knew him from his high school or taught him. And it's very much in the style of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five or the Sugar Hill Gang, which you will hear. Like it's undeniably that.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the place to be. I'm rockin' hardcore on the MIC. So just take a seat and party down to the devastating body rockin' fitness sound. Well, I jump, I push, pull every day. And as you know, I do get paid. With my physique and my great body, and everybody knows that I party high. Oh. And then when I do the swing, I'll be weighted as the king of fitness, the king of hip hop. And everybody knows that I have the clout. 4 servings of milk and every way helps me get right through my day. I like greens, chicken, cornbread, and rice. Helps win place. So very nice.
There you go.
Huge.
Pretty good.
Huge.
Pretty
wow.
good.
Wowee. Yeah, this is even by like that standard of hip hop in for that time.
Yep.
Golly. I'm very floored by this.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I was looking up what came out in 86, like Run DMC's On the Scene, Licensed to Ill, I think came out that year. Like we are firmly moving on from the Sugar Hill Gang style of flow at that.
And you're also like old not too far away from like LL Cool J. I feel like he might have been like a year later if memory serves.
That sounds right. So, I mean, Cabo Frio breaking new ground for upstate hip hop. This was not what I expected to find, but I was so delighted.
Craig Kettles walked so Griselda could run.
There we go. You hear it You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Okay, let's continue. So 1987, Cabo Frio is the musical guest on the Arsenio Hall show.
That's pretty dope.
I think is kind of their peak. And they play their fusion interpretation of the Leave It to Beaver theme song.
Hilarious.
I believe it was called the new Leave It to Beaver show or something. And again, that's not like too wild of an idea. Like at this time, reinterpreting classic TV themes is like, it's a thing for sure. But yeah, you can go watch that video on YouTube, and it sounds like the SNL intro / outro music. If you know what if you're familiar, a lot of heavy sax going on. Very similar. All right, so that was the high. Now we kind of get to the low. This is from the Washington Post. By Mike Joyce, February 8th, 1990.
I also went to high school with someone named Mike Joyce. This is kind of wild.
Jesus, you know weird. all the children of all these journalists.
I guess so. I guess that's where we are.
All right, so Cabo Frio, a fusion jazz band based in upstate New York, arrived on the scene a couple of years ago with a likable, if not particularly distinctive, radio-tailored album. Okay.
All right.
Now nearly all of the original members have moved on to other projects. A vocalist has been added to the lineup, and the band sounds more derivative and calculating than ever. Brutal.
Jeez.
At Blues Alley Monday night, a jazz club I actually was just at, I don't know, a month ago. It's like a smaller jazz club. I cannot imagine a fusion smooth jazz band playing this club. Like if you could smoke in there, it would be smoke filled. It's like you're drinking an old fashioned or a dark and stormy, like you're listening to some jazz and you're hanging out. It's like a very classic jazz club. The fact they played there is a little bit damning. Whoever booked them was doing them dirty, I think. Anyway, at Blues Alley Monday night, the quintet reprised one of its earliest successes by interpreting the theme from the new Leave It to Beaver show, which killed on Arsenio.
Sure.
Much in the way many jazz musicians playfully reworked popular cartoon themes over the years. But the second set suffered from a series of innocuous sax and keyboard-driven pop instrumentals that merely recalled the more appealing work of Grover Washington Jr. and a legion of his stylistic airs. Which again, Grover Washington Jr. was a dude that they were playing back in 79. They were playing his tunes, which again were a lot funkier, a lot more groovy, right? So they've kind of gotten a little too far away from their roots, it sounds like. And occasionally, drummer Curtis Kendrick would get flashy, tossing his sticks from hand to mouth to hand again in mid-solo, but the need for tricks only underscored the band's flat, stubbornly middle-of-the-road material.
Damn.
Again, fucking brutal. Again, the tricks were great. The tricks were great back in 80, 84 when they're leaving the auditorium, playing the single note and coming back in. The final sentence is, as for vocalist Keith McFadden, he can sing all night, but as he proved on Just the Two of Us, not nearly as well as some of the people who influenced him. Fucking brutal.
Mike Joyce has skewered one of our favorite jazz fusion bands. Our fusion.
Yeah.
Fusion.
And I think, again, like I said, I do think as you listen to the albums, they get more and more commercial. I think that's fair to say. A little bit less funky, a lot more poppy and melodic, which again, not for me, but if you like it, hey, go get it. But I do think some of this is influenced by the fact that they played it is the currently the last real jazz club in DC. Like it's it's a bastion for classic jazz, and I don't think you're getting a good review if you're playing anything but that, particularly in 1990. That's a time where movie critics were mean, music critics are mean,
everyone was just mean.
Yeah, but critical writing was fucking brutal back then. So I think we can take some of the sting out of it. But damn, yeah, Cabo Frio, not a hit in DC in 1990. Speaking of hits, though, Jim, we got another artist to talk about who did have one undeniable hit and a few others. Should we talk a little bit about Chuck Mangione?
Yes, we will talk about Chuck Mangione, which I'm looking at pictures of him, and there's a black aunt or a black grandparent somewhere, because
sure.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I'd see there's a little spice in there.
Sure.
With Chuck Mangione here. But let's get to it. Charles Frank Mangione is an American flugelhorn player, trumpeter, and composer. Mangione was born and raised in the 585, the home of the Garbage Plate, Rochester, New York.
Hell yeah.
Yep, the 585, baby. Kodak's own. To Italian parents. I want to see the rest of that family tree. I want to know what the deal is. With his pianist brother Gap, they led the Mangione Brothers Sextet Quintet, which recorded 3 albums for Riverside Records before Mangione branched into other work. One of Chuck's compositions for the Mangione Brothers Sextet, Something Different, was recorded by Cannonball Adderley on his 1961 album African Waltz. See?
Hell yeah.
There you go. I'm on to something. We're on to something here. You're telling on yourself, Chuck. Mangione's composition, Chase the Clouds Away, was used in the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, Quebec. Go ahead, Chuck. His composition, Give It All You Got, was the theme to the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, New York.
Okay. There we go.
How about that? He performed it live on a global television broadcast at the closing ceremonies. This motherfucker's on top of the world, man.
Get it, Chuck?
Yeah, man. I'm rooting for you. His top hit, Feels So Good. It's one of those songs that most people don't think they know, but they absolutely do.
I'm going to try and sing it right now. It's a flugelhorn that he plays, and it's like... I know it sounds like I'm doing The Price is Right, but it's very similar, but it's a lot smoother. It's not as upbeat.
I'm going to listen to it after.
It's a fucking 10-minute song. The funk bass comes in at about minute 6 or something. Pretty good. I don't hate it.
Pretty good. Yeah. All right. Now, you think it would stop here with Chuck? Nah. He got way more talent than that, baby. In addition to music, Mangione has made a few appearances in television shows. In the Magnum PI episode Paradise Blues, Chuck portrays a fellow nightclub act along with TC, Roger E. Mosley's former girlfriend. He performs 2 singles and has lines near the end of the show. There you go.
Awesome.
A member of SAG-AFTRA. In 1988, Mangione appeared on the hit family TV show Sharon, Lois, and Bram's Elephant Show with Little Boy Blue playing his famous song.
I'm sorry. Have you ever heard of the hit family TV show Sharon, Lois, and Bram's Elephant Show? What the fuck is that?
I haven't. But you know what? I don't want to take this away from him. I'm not.
Oh, no. That credit is firmly embedded on IMDb. No one's unlinking that.
I hope he gets those residual checks. Mangione had a recurring voice acting role on the animated television series King of the Hill. I have heard of that.
Yes. Did you? This is like how I know about Chuck Mangione. He is from King of the Hill.
I heard the name. Obviously, now I know he's an icon in the fusion scene. But yeah, look, his career has spanned many moons here. So, in it, he portrays himself as a celebrity spokesman for Megalomart, almost always wearing the white and red jacket from the cover of his Feels So Good album. The first episode of King of the Hill with Mangione originally aired February 16th, 1997. The episode featured an original score specifically recorded for the occasion. He continued to appear in episodes, a total of 10 more up until 2003. In the context of the series, Mangione chafes under an impressive spokesperson contract with Megalomart. His contract had him appearing at every Megalo store opening, some 400 a year, leaving him no time to tour, record, or be with his family. He eventually goes into hiding inside their store in Arlen, Texas, the fictitious town in the King of the Hill is set.
He's like a good character on the show. It's pretty wild. It's very weird, but I love it.
Yeah. After a long hiatus, the character of Chuck Mangione returned in 2007 in an episode titled Lucky's Wedding Suit. A recurring joke is that whenever tune he plays on the flugelhorn inevitably shifts into Feel So Good after a few bars. That's hilarious. Yep. After Megalomart blows up, Mangione states during a group therapy session that every song I play now sounds like Feel So Good. The series finale in 2009 included Mangione's One Last Time playing the national anthem, which segues into Feel So Good. An homage to the series. Mangione's album Everything for Love contains a track titled Peggy Hill.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I have two things to add on Chuck Mangione. So I texted my dad, again, professional trumpet player, just for a pull quote on Chuck Mangione, to see what his thoughts were, and. Let's see. I said, talking about Chuck Mangione today on the podcast. Any thoughts? And he said, not much more than the obvious. I did like the King of the Hill character.
There you go.
Showed he had a sense of humor about himself. He did popularize the flugelhorn. So there's that.
So that's a thing he has.
Yeah, which I don't think we said what the flugelhorn is. It's basically a slightly bigger trumpet. It has like a technically a different instrument, but it's slightly bigger and it's a little bit more mellower. And yeah, it sounds cool. It's a good mellow instrument. Also, I swear to God, I saw Chuck Mangione under the Queensboro Bridge on the Upper East Side like 8 years ago with his signature hat. It's kind of like a weird, not like a Boulder hat, but he's always got this hat. I swear to God, he had a flugelhorn. I was a guitar teacher at the time. I was going from one lesson to another, and I often had to go through this underpass. And I swear it was him. I don't know why he would have been under the Queensboro Bridge 8 years ago.
It's a crazy
middle
city.
Of the day. It is, but I'm 99% certain I have seen Chuck Mangione.
As far as just like those sightings, I saw a little fame of MOP in the middle of Brighton Beach at 2:30 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, just walking around. So by himself. Yeah. By himself. So, hey, big world. It's
true.
A lot of things happening, man. A lot.
It's true.
Now, I did want to put this towards the end here, but as far as Mangione's band, two members of the band, Jerry Niewood and Coleman Mellett, were among those killed when the Continental Airlines Flight 3407 crashed into a house in the vicinity of Buffalo, New York on February 12th, 2009. In a statement, Mangione said, "I'm in shock over this horrible, heartbreaking tragedy." So rest in peace to Jerry and Coleman, members of Mangione's band. Now, should you folks out there, my speedy freaks and rattlesnake Pete's, want to go on a very interesting dive into Chuck's world, please go to www.chuckmangione.com. It's wild. It is a website from, I would say, like 95, 96.
Oh, I don't even. That's too late, I think, man.
You think earlier than that?
I think earlier.
Listen,
it's a throwback.
It is back in time. And there's a fan mail link. There's a link you can click. You can read all of the glowing accolades that Chuck has received over the years. Some of them are very heartfelt. I did not take time to cut and paste those. You can read those at your own leisure, folks.
I love it.
But I highly suggest chuckmangione.com if you'd like to see what he has been up to. My friends, that is all I have on the 585 God, Chuck Mangione.
I think we've done it. I think we've got a pretty good comprehensive survey here to, get all these fusion heads on their way. Not jazz fusion, fusion. If you take anything away from today, it's one that Cabo Frio originated hip-hop in upstate New York. I think we can all agree on that, right, Jim?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like as far as pioneers and trendsetters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitive.
Yeah.
Definitive. And also just, it's fusion. Don't call it jazz fusion. I think
Never.
that should be our first t-shirt.
Don't call it.
It's just fusion.
It's just fusion.
The back is not jazz fusion. They'll sell like hotcakes, I'm pretty sure. Do you know what is also selling like hotcakes, Jim, from what I hear?
What's that?
I think it's your album, Upstate Understandings.
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say why. I've got 9 vinyl records left.
Single digits.
There's 9 of them left. After that, they're gone. There will not be a repressing of any of that. The physical copies of the vinyl will be gone forever. I still have a couple CDs and cassettes left, but definitely down from what I've started for sure. So my friends, if you want to pick up a physical copy of that, jimsearch.bandcamp.com is a good place to go do it. If you want to buy one real time, if you want to get one real time, you know what you do is you pull up to the Crooked Mouth Comedy Fest on September 21st, because you could buy one directly from me, because I'll have some copies there as well. I also have some good merch and some t-shirts and whatnot, so go pick those up as well. Of course, jimsearchcomedy.com is a good place to get at me. I got a couple shows coming up, so you want to swing on out and hear me tell some jokes. That is the way to find out where that can happen. And all social media, I'm at Jim Search. I make sure branding is super easy and all that fun stuff. Rob, they bought my album. They are on hold. They're listening to some fusion, and there's some very clever DJ out there who has laid my album over some fusion, and it is groundbreaking. But you know what? They want more. They want more culture. They want more excitement.
Sure.
They want more in their lives. What do you suggest for them to do? What do you think they should do?
Well, first, I just want to kind of make sure I'm recommending it to the right people, right? Because the worst thing I think you do is have someone buy the album and not enjoy it. So let me just be clear. If you listen to Cabo Frio, Spyro Gyra, or Chuck Mangione because of this episode and you liked it, don't buy my album. You're not going to like it. It's a lot funkier than those. And in fact, my music is very much inspired by a lot of the artists that inspired like Cabo Frio, like George Benson was a name thrown out there, George Washington Jr. Those are artists who directly influenced my album, New York Sticky, but it sounds nothing like any of Cabo Frio's albums. I can tell you that. But that being said, it is an instrumental funk, I guess a funk fusion album in some ways. But go check it out. It's available at brooklynfrequency.bandcamp.com. It's called New York Sticky. And it's a pretty great little album. Also, we've got a documentary out. It's available for free up on YouTube. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the making of Jim's album. It's a quick 30 minutes. You get to see Binghamton. You get to see Brooklyn.
Oof.
You get to hear Jim talk about the process, and he throws in a few jokes there too. It's pretty great. It's a pretty great.
I agree.
Great little doc. I would hope so.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
The final plug. I just directed, edited, and what else did I do? Directed, edited,
Composed.
and
mixed
filmed.
it.
I also composed a song for it and mixed another comedy special / album that just came out. It's called Husky Boy. It's by Chris Calogero. I'll put a link for that in the description as well. Another really funny dude. Great album and special to check out.
I can confirm that. Very funny dude and good guy.
There we go. If you want to be a good guy, though, you can subscribe, rate, and review our show. So go do that. Again, it's a really big help if you do any of those things. Also, share an episode with a friend. Anyone that needs to like fucking chill out and get some jazz. I'm sorry, not jazz fusion, just fusion into their life. Throw this episode their way. Maybe they could benefit from a little Chuck Mangione in their lives. Having said that, Jim, what hint do you have for next week's topic?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you this. I got 716 reasons why you should tune in to our episode next week.
Pretty good. Jim, it's that time. I said that time of the year. It's that time of the episode for me to close us out.
Sure.
With a little up pun of my own here. And Jim, I gotta tune up my guitar so I can play a little smooth jazz, play a little fusion of my own. So let's get on out of here.
Incredible. Understanding Upstate is a podcast hosted by Jim Search and Rob Adler, edited by Rob Adler, and music from Regal Monk.